meeting with Mount Kenya leaders that was to take place today, as State House disowned it, while senior Jubilee figures and Deputy President William Ruto's allies acknowledged receiving invites. The short text message signed off in the president's name circulated in the morning among the region's leaders, informing MPs, senators, and governors about the meeting, which would have been the first in a long time to have invitations extended to the DP's camp. Since March 9, 2018, truce with ODM leader Raila Odinga, whom he has since endorsed to succeed him, the president has largely sidelined the DP and leaders allied to him. So there are a few quotes here from the leaders who are in the deputy president's camp, and also the statement from State House spokesperson Kanze Dina that was sent out yesterday at 1 p.m. saying the president had not convened any such meeting. It reads, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta's attention has been drawn to misleading information circulating online on a purported meeting with Central Kenya elected leaders this week. The president did not convene nor postpone any such meeting. Therefore, the information is false and misleading, which goes against, or rather it is in contradiction to what some other leaders are saying, such as Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, who was among those who acknowledged receiving the invitation. He says, he is quoted saying, I don't know the agenda, but we have been invited for a meeting from 10 a.m. State House. It is a meeting with Jubilee members of parliament, elected leaders from governors to MPs. Those are the words of Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni. Another senior Jubilee official who spoke on record also confirmed the meeting, explaining the agenda was to discuss the future of Mount Kenya post the Uhuru administration. But the MP later sought anonymity when another message communicating the cancellation circulated, following by a State House statement denouncing the meeting. Gatanga MP Joseph Ndwati had also anticipated the discussions at the meeting, saying to lay out the campaign strategy and plan the calendar. We want to plan the Mount Kenya rallies and strategies for Ababa, that is Mr. Odinga's win, Jubilee to be the dominant party in Mount Kenya. There are statements by those allied to the deputy president, and one of them says, prior to the statement, allies of DP Ruto had acknowledged receipt of the invitations and vowed to snub the meeting, citing the president's past sidelining of their camp. Gatondo South MP Moses Kuria also confirmed receiving the invitation, but added it was too late for such a forum. He is quoted saying, Mount Kenya leaders have been waiting for a proper sit-down for 4 years. To call them 143 days before the election, and when you have already declared yourself the campaign manager for Raila, is contemptuous. With utmost respect and deep regret, just let us be, Mr. Kuria said. Then Mr. Nyoro is quoted saying, if it is a meeting about development, we are more than ready. About our stalled projects, if we will be allowed to ask why Fuliza is blacklisting people, we will go. Prices of coffee, tea, and general welfare of the mountain, we will go, but not politics.
I think that story, Kevin, goes to show the confusion that is in the mountain this time round, because if you look at the response from the MPs who are allied to UDA and Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, they were forthright. They hit back hard. And it goes to show the confusion that because they saw as if they are going to State House to be headed in a certain direction, whereas the president has already announced his stand for the support for the Azimio. Remember, for the mountain, this is the first time that they don't have a front runner in the presidential race since the introduction of the multi-party democracy in this country in 1992. So you expect this kind of confusion to be there, but we are yet to see the final game. Because I think the statement from Kanzedina has said that the meeting, there was no meeting. There was first message that there was no meeting, and then there was another message that the meeting has been deferred to a later date. So we are yet to see the the final game.
Yes, and I do think that the president and his Jubilee party have quite the task ahead of them when it comes to scaling the mountain once again, because right now the UDA has infiltrated much of the ground, and it will take quite a lot of work, you know, to remove the impact that UDA has had on the area in the past few years.
Yes. On page 8 of the Standard, there's a story, and first there's a picture of the Azimio La Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga meeting the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, who is the head of the Worldwide Anglican Communion, yesterday. And this story says that how coalition deals could deny Mount Kenya running mate position. And it says that the fast changing political landscape and newly crafted coalition agreements are forcing bigwigs jostling to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta to reconsider the running mate position, being a preserve of Mount Kenya region. Pressure is now mounting on both Kenya Kwanza Alliance leader, Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, and his Azimio La Umoja counterpart, Mr. Raila Odinga, to consider doling out their running mate position to leaders from parts of the country in an intricate balance between amassing votes based on the tribal arithmetic and their parties having a national appeal. This, Kevin, after the Deputy President, UDA, joined hands with ANC, Musalia Mudavadi's party, and Fort Kenya, Moses Wetangula's party, on that side of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, there's this headache about who's gonna be the running mate. We are talking of Mount Kenya's 5.9 million votes. You are talking of the Western vote, which is 2.2 million votes. Now the question is this: do you go for the vote for the 5.9 votes, 5.9 million votes, and look for a running mate from Mount Kenya to safeguard and ring-fence those votes, or do you go for a running mate from Western Kenya and risk Western Kenya, which is 2.1 million votes, and risk the mountain vote? On the Azimio side, when Kalonzo joined, now the presidential candidate Raila Odinga is lost between going for a running mate from Central, which has more votes, than Eastern, where Kalonzo is still waiting in the wings for such a position. It's a huge balancing act.
Well, I think the Azimio side has more of a headache when it comes to choosing the running mate, because Kalonzo Musyoka was, it seemed like, and a lot of people who looked at the situation may have thought that he was maybe promised to be given the running mate position so that he may agree to join the Azimio side. But if that does happen, Kalonzo is already raring to, you know, do what the deputy president did. And he says, in fact, he says here, it is quoted, Dr. DP Ruto started campaigns immediately after they were re-elected in 2017. This is Kalonzo Musyoka saying, I will also start my journey to State House a day after swearing in of Odinga as president. So if Kalonzo Musyoka is offered the DP position, the running mate position, and Azimio does go ahead to form the next government, meaning that Kalonzo Musyoka will be the deputy president, then will the events that follow lead us to a similar situation as where we are right now? Because right now, with the government that we have, the president and his deputy are at loggerheads. And the president is accusing his deputy of being on the campaign trail and leaving him to deliver on the promises that they made during the second term of during the time when they were campaigning for their second term, that the president was left to implement those promises on his own. So yeah, well, will history repeat itself if Azimio does win the elections come August 9th? Will Kalonzo stay true to his words, at least when he says that he will start his race to State House a day after the swearing in of Honorable Raila Odinga?
I think that's that's political blackmail, and it's a very unfortunate political talk, because Kenyans expect, whichever side wins, Kenyans expect services from the government. So when you come forth before even the elections and say that you will start campaigning a day after the president is sworn in, I think that's a very unfortunate political talk, given the situation that Kenyans are in, high cost of living, poverty, lack of services, because of these internal fights between those who are in Jubilee, in the government. I think it's very unfortunate political talk.
It is quite unfortunate, and it's a bit sad, because it could also well, trigger something else. You know, I'm not absolutely sure what the play that Kalonzo Musyoka is implementing, because earlier on, well, he has said two things. First of all, he said that he would be stupid to support Raila Odinga at that time without a measure of reciprocity. And then he also said that he will not join Azimio unless his irreducible minimums are met. And well, first of all, regarding his earlier statement, he is now in Azimio, and he has in fact endorsed and campaigned for Honorable Raila Odinga's presidency. And then he joined Azimio, and he is not the flag bearer, despite that being one of his irreducible minimums.
I think Kalonzo is living in what we call political wilderness. Kalonzo is the one who said, after signing the agreement on the grounds of the KICC, the following day he said he didn't know what they signed. The other day he said that he wants the eastern side, the Ukambani side, to vote Wiper members, so that he can get a majority, a lot of members, to impeach Raila Odinga, to impeach Raila Odinga if he gets the presidency and he doesn't implement what they signed. Yet he said he didn't know what they signed. That's political wilderness.
And well, we also see him, you know, kind of sitting on the fence. But I am trying to understand the position that he is in, because it looks like he is trying to please both sides of his supporters. Because there are those who wanted him to run for presidency instead of joining another alliance, and there are those who wanted him to join the alliance. So maybe he is looking for a way to do both, to satisfy both parties, by one, being in Azimio, and two, saying that he will now start his campaigns for presidency immediately Honorable Raila Odinga is sworn in. But it's something that we have to wait and see if indeed that is what he will do. That is, if at all Azimio does win the August 9th elections. On page 5, there is the story, Raila to follow Kagame script in graft war. Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga on Wednesday pledged to accept defeat in a free and fair poll this August, as he recalled the disputed 2007 election that plunged the country into chaos. If elected, he vowed to borrow heavily from President Paul Kagame's strategy against corruption in Rwanda, saying Kenya loses more than 700 billion shillings to graft annually. He continues to say, Mr. Odinga claimed the judiciary has been infiltrated by a cartel of lawyers and judges who connive to defeat justice. This cartel, he noted, has continued to frustrate the fight against corruption and other crimes in the country. He is quoted saying, "We have a corrupt judiciary that gives easy bail terms to suspects where cases are never listened for hearing for years. Cases taken to court in 2018 are yet to be determined. Investigative agencies should also do a better job." I'm not sure how there has been a lot of talk, especially from the two major presidential candidates running for the state office this year, about certain government institutions that are labeled as independent institutions being under state capture. The deputy president, during his speech at the UDA NDC, claimed KRA is under state capture, and also some other bodies that he mentioned. And now Honorable Raila Odinga is claiming that the judiciary as well has been infiltrated by cartels, which is something that has been made, the term cartels has been publicized, especially during the reign of Honorable Mike Mbuvi Sonko, when he took over Nairobi from Evans Kidero. And he said that he will clean up the cartels that have been ruling and taking away services from the people of Nairobi. And I think that is a term that has become quite publicized in politics ever since then.
I think the thing is, what we lack in this country is goodwill to fight corruption. We have a lot of institutions, we have a lot of laws that are geared towards fighting corruption. What we don't have is the goodwill to fight it. And let me tell you, most of these people who are taken to court because of mega corruption cases, in one way or the other, they are not alone. They are just figureheads of some politicians. And that's why you see some people are taken to court. The following day, some politicians go to some rallies, and then they start saying judiciary is being used to do witch hunt. I mean, what we lack is goodwill. Kenya is one of the countries that has a lot of laws which are not followed. Follow the law, walk the talk, and implement whatever is supposed to be implemented.
Yeah.
And on page 10, there's another interesting story that following Kibaki's footsteps, Keen come out to seek political seats. This is a family of the former president, Mwai Kibaki. The son, Jimmy, nephew, Joseph Kirago, and Laikipia governor who has been there. But now Jimmy Kibaki is plotting to come into the political scene. And it says that retired President Mwai Kibaki's family members have thrown their hearts into the political ring. They include son Jimmy Kibaki and nephews Dr. Joseph Kirago and Laikipia Governor Dirito Muraidi. The interesting thing about this story on page 10 of the Standard is since the president retired, the family has been behind the scenes. They've not been interested. They have not shown interest in political seats, given that the goodwill that Kibaki, the former president, left the country with Kenyans. And now Jimmy is being touted as the running mate of the of Dhuo Mathenge, who is the leader of the New Democrats, and Jimmy Kibaki is the deputy leader of that party. And they are being touted that Dhuo Mathenge will go for the Nyeri governorship and Jimmy Kibaki will be the running mate. So we will see whether the goodwill that the former president left in this country will help, will bolster the chances of the family members who have come forth to vie for the seats, to gain political seats as well.
Yes. And do you think maybe the legacy of that President Mwai Kibaki left while he was leaving office will play a significant role in how the political careers of those in his family who are pursuing politics as a career play out?
80% I think it can, because of the influence and because of the linkages that they have, resources, good name, and then the influence. I think 80% they will be front runners.
Well, we do wait to see if they will be given chances at governance and how they will carry out the roles that come with the positions that they are given. On page 6, make public coalition deal. Azimio parties now demand 5 disputes are derailing Azimio La Umoja agreement with protests by some parties about the document that named Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga the coalition's presidential flag bearer. The Daily Nation has established that many of the more than 20 parties, including Wiper of Kalonzo Musyoka, which appended signatures on the document, have not seen its contents. They are questioning the secrecy surrounding the document, which they say they were hastily told to sign on March 12th, as the principals were rushing to a rally in Jacaranda on the understanding they would peruse its contents later. I do not know why anyone would put pen on paper in a document that they have not gone through.
But previously you've heard Baba akisema tumesema. Baba akiongea tumeongea.
But that
so
is,
there's no need to verify anything.
But that is only within ODM. And the Azimio la Umoja movement is not just ODM. There are more than, well, it says here that many of the more than 20 parties that form the Azimio la Umoja movement. So it's not just about ODM. I think ODM is the only one where Baba akisema tumesema would apply. But with the rest of the parties, and with each one of these parties having their own leaders, I don't think they will follow blindly the words of Honorable Raila Odinga.
Yeah, Kevin, they might be even more than 20 parties, but most of them are briefcase parties. Some of them will even hardly get an MCA seat. So what they are doing, they are clinging on the major parties. So when the leaders of these major parties say we are signing, they have no say. Some of them are just clinging so that in case they take the government, their leaders, the leaders of those parties will get something in the government because they supported the presidential candidate. But they are not interested in the full print of whatever they sign. They are not interested. Theirs is to aim that the function that they are supporting, whether it's Kenya Kwanza or the Azimio la Umoja, takes the government, and then they claim they are pound of flesh. They have nothing to do with, they are not careful on the print that they are given to sign.
Well, there are a few segments of this article that I will want to read. Kitui Central MP Makali Mulu said that a power sharing structure must be clear in a coalition. The thing was rushed. Details of the agreement are still being finalized by the technical committee before depositing it with the registrar of political parties. Every party is cautious because of the history of betrayal in this country, Mr. Makali said yesterday. There's another quote here. The other sticky issue is zoning and fielding of candidates under Azimio framework. The main concern of DAPK is nominations. How, for instance, do we arrive at Azimio candidates for governor, senator, and a member of the National Assembly positions? Will it be by joint nominations? Democratic Action Party Secretary General Eseli Simiyu asked. Then the Laikipia governor said the Azimio document acknowledges there are regions the coalition will have to field joint candidates. We are persuading aspirants to be realistic. We want to have Azimio ODM, Azimio Jubilee, Azimio PNU candidates on the ballot after primaries. We don't want parties to die, he said. He added that Azimio would ask the electoral agency to accept the plan. Dr. Amolo said the deal proposes an Azimio coalition election board. The fact that we have recognized the question of joint candidates in some areas shows we are alive to the challenge, he said, adding it would be upon the board to prescribe nomination rules in case of joint candidates. The Paul Mwangi-led team of experts and negotiators on the deal admits there are disputes.
It's a very sad scenario, Kevin, because if there is this infighting before you take the government, or in case you take the government, you remember the scenario of NARC in 2002. There was that dash to name the former president, Mwai Kibaki, as a presidential candidate. And when they took over the government, the infighting started almost immediately because of the sharing of the positions. So I think it's very good to be careful and to sign something that's very well structured, so that in case you are voted in, you know this is your share, then this is how you run the government.
Yes, this is what you will be getting.
Yes, because this infighting doesn't help the country.
And it's especially happening even before the party primaries are done.
Before even the primaries, before even the presidential candidates name their running mates. So we are yet to see.
I think it is quite early for such disputes to be arising.
It's too early.
Which brings to question the longevity of the life of these coalitions.
They are coalitions for convenience. And the shelf life might not be that long. Yeah.
Oh, well, time will reveal all. On page 12, there is quite an interesting story with a headline reading, "Meetings reveal Raila and Ruto's kitchen cabinets." When Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga secured endorsements from their respective party delegates to run for president, the sitting arrangement at the two functions offered a glimpse into their inner circles. Those who occupied seats in the front rows would be considered their closest allies, who would become the power brokers in the next government that is set to be formed by either of the two leaders considered the front runners in the race to succeed President Kenyatta. During Dr. Ruto's coronation at the United Democratic Alliance delegates meeting on Tuesday at Kasarani, those who had the ringside seats were the chosen few he invited to the podium to address the gathering, suggesting they would form his kitchen cabinet were he to become the fifth president. And all these disciples of the two allies turned bitter rivals have mixed resumes, colorful and equally controversial. We may not have the time to go into what is written about each one of the people who sat at the front, but just to highlight their names, in the UDA NDC there was Mwangi Kinjuri, Jimmy Wanjigi, Moses Wetangula, Musalia Mudavadi, Rigathi Gachagua, Aden Duale, Anne Waiguru, William Kabogo and Moses Kuria. And on the Azimio side, there was Kivutha Kibwana, Ali Hassan Joho, Dr. Mukisa Kitui, Charity Ngilu, Kalonzo Musyoka, Ibrahim Ali Roba, Gideon Moi, Wycliffe Oparanya, and Kiraitu Murungi. Then there are some figures here. 8.4, the estimated number of registered voters in millions in areas perceived as ODM leader Raila Odinga's stronghold. 5.6 million, the estimated number in millions of registered voters in areas perceived as battlegrounds, and 8 million is the estimated number of registered voters in millions in areas perceived as DP William Ruto strongholds. There was a breakdown of these figures and their areas yesterday in yesterday's Daily Nation, and it is something that we highlighted right here on Morning Dew. But it's quite interesting and exciting to see where we are headed in terms of the elections, the strongholds and the battlegrounds, and how all that will play out. But there was an agreement generally that UDA is more dominant in the Mount Kenya region than the Jubilee Party.
Yeah, that's the thing. You look at the figures, UDA has made some major inroads in the mountain. It scaled the mountain quite pleasantly. Yeah, given the trends, the latest trends. Yeah. And on page 12, small parties using Azimio popularity to grow support base. Buoyed by the formation of Azimio La Umoja coalition, fringe parties are flexing their political muscles as they brace for a contest with their big brothers in the August 9 polls. Although some dominant parties view them as spoilers, the decision by Mr. Raila Odinga, President Uhuru Kenyatta to form the movement has emboldened the outfits. This story on page 12 of the Standard is what we were discussing, that the briefcase parties or the small parties are just clinging to get relevance, political relevance, and get some support base. And remember, like in Eastern, Kalonzo has not been very welcoming, very hospitable to the small parties, Chama cha Uzalendo, Chama Chap Chap, the Mutua's party, Governor Mutua's party,
Maendeleo Chap Chap,
because they are seen as spoilers. Because if you take, for example, that the eastern part, the Wiper at some stage was very dominant. But with time, chama cha Uzalendo, led by Makueni Governor Professor Kibwana, you cannot rule them out. They'll have a slice of their support. And this support, they are slicing it, they are hiving it off the Wiper, the Wiper party. So these small parties, they'll have to cling on, but they are seen as spoilers by the major parties. But for them, it's a matter of survival and political relevance. So they will still continue being there. Yeah.
Yes, well, that has brought us to the end of our newspaper review this morning. But do stay tuned, because after this short break, I will be joined on set by my guests, and we will be looking at what their opinion is on what is happening politically in the country. We'll be right back after this short break.